you about seller finance. I'm gonna break down 5 steps for seller finance. In case you didn't know what seller financing was, it's basically like you go buy a car. You buy a car with buy here, pay here. That's very similar to in real estate, buying a property uh, with the same type of terms where you put down a down payment and actually acquire the um, property and also pay payments over time. That's what seller financing is. It's more in detail, more money involved, and it's more seriously involved. But it is if someone was to ask me what is seller financing in layman's terms, that is very similar to what it is. You're just buying a house on a contract, um, and paying the payments off in terms of a period of 24 months. It could be as long as 30 years, but typically it's a short period of time that you're paying the house off. Usually 24 months. Like I'm in the process of acquiring a property that is basically in the works now. I've already put down the money. The terms is 24 months, so I have up to 24 months to pay it off. I definitely will be shooting to try to pay it off sooner. Um, I will talk more in detail about that property at another time, but basically that is what self financing is. Now, there's five steps that you can basically just be successful at it. Even in just real estate itself, you can just basically hit the ground running with these 5 steps. I'm gonna put some descriptions in the video more in detail about these that to add to these steps as well as a link to my website because even if you're not in the Chicagoland area, I do wholesale, so I don't do it in Illinois because in Illinois it's technically illegal. I mean, I can do it. I can buy property in Illinois. What I would have to do is basically it's a couple ways that I can do it, and I do know how to do it now. Um, so you can still contact me to buy property in Illinois, but if you're out of state, I can also assist you out of state if you have a property that you're trying to sell. Um, I mean, it's very inconvenient nowadays because you have the internet and you have the ability, the technology, and software to um, do paperwork electronically and do certain transactions electronically, so you can buy and sell real estate all over the country. So even if you're outside of the state, um, so it's very easy. So I'm gonna put the details of my website down below. If you have property that you want to sell for a contract, or even just you want to sell it outright cash, as well as a description of in the description of a very seasoned real estate investor that goes over in detail what you want to do once you got the property, the rehab steps that's involved in. I'll talk to you about it just briefly, but he goes more into detail with it. So I will leave that a link to that video in the description below. Um, so 5 steps to seller financing, which is in the official term, real estate term, is contract for deed. That is the official term for seller financing. called contract for deed, because basically you're drawing up a contract that you probably will put a down payment. You could very well not even have to put a down payment. Depends on the deal, on the contract. And from that contract, once you pay off that principal balance that's owed, that's agreed upon the contract, you get that actual deed. And that is what is called in the real estate terms contract for deed. It's called owner financing, seller financing, but in legal terms, the traditional standard term for all of these, uh, different terms, the official one is contract for deed. Okay, so with these 5 steps that I'm going to talk to you about, you can literally change your life. You can get into real estate really, really in depth. Even if you're not using seller financing as a tool to basically for this process, because basically that's what I'm going to be talking about, seller financing. You could still use these steps and just kick butt in real estate. And a lot of people, they charge money for this. They have courses for this that they charge, big money for this. I'm giving this away for free. It's very generalized, but you can use this information to basically, man, just change your life. You could actually become a millionaire, if not $50,000 to $100,000 within your first year by using these steps in real estate, especially if you have good credit. Because if you have credit, you can actually go to a bank and get capital to start your real estate business. Some people, as well as myself, that don't have good credit, that's working on rebuilding their credit, they don't have that as an option. So if you have good credit, you have the ability to basically get a loan. You can actually take this very easily within the first year, make $100,000 plus buying and selling real estate. Or you can generate an income of $1,500 to $1,000 a month, additional to whatever else you are doing in your life as far as income, for as long as you have a tenant in your property. This is through real estate. This is basically life changing. What I'm telling you. So stay tuned. First step: find a property. Various different ways you can find a property. You can find a property through realtor.com, basically online. Realtor.com. I'll just list off the sites where I look. Realtor.com is just generally the MLS. It is not the full MLS. If you actually get, and I'll talk to you more about that, but it's not the MLS like that a real estate agent has access to. But it's the general MLS, which they have properties that are generally on the MLS. So that's realtor.com. I had another video about auction.com. Auction.com is, like I said in the video, if you don't have no more than $10,000 of cash, of capital, don't try auction.com. For seller financing, don't try auction.com or realtor.com. These are just sites just to find properties if you are, paying cash or you getting a loan. So realtor.com, auction.com, and then also it's a site, it's another auction site like auction.com, which is Hubzu, spelled HUBZU.com, and that is an auction site that is generally like auction.com. And then you also have another site. Craigslist. Craigslist is actually how I found my property, believe it or not. Craigslist is a viable real estate option to find property. Actually, it's a pretty good one. You also have even eBay. eBay has properties, has real estate for sale. That's one thing I like about eBay that Amazon differs from. Now, Amazon easily can get into the world of real estate, but they don't. But eBay, actually, you could buy and sell a property off of eBay. Okay, so another site that I use for real estate is it's called myhousedeals.com, spelled exactly like I'm saying it. Myhousedeals, all one word.com. And this is an investor friendly site because basically you have other investors that are listing their properties on this platform, and if you pay a premium you can have access to the entire site and you can see all of the house the listings on the site. So that's myhousedeals.com. Another website that you can use to find properties is I would have to say Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace has real estate listings. So those are the online places that you can find properties. Definitely, if you're trying to find properties, you can actually also contact a real estate agent. Kind of shady, ethically, it's it's kind of shady because in the sense of seller financing, basically, you'll be looking, you'll get a realtor to basically give you housing listings, so you and that's bypass the realtor. But realtors don't really care. They do, but they don't care. Um, as long as if you like the particular realtor that's sending you listings, it's always opportunity that you will still need him because you will need a realtor. Well, you can still technically buy a property and then sell it yourself, but it's best that you have a realtor to sell when you sell your properties. So you can buy a property and then contact that same realtor to sell a property, even if you bypass the realtor. Um, you could also, you're gonna eventually get to a point where you actually have capital that you don't need to use seller financing or uh, to wholesale properties. Once you have the ability to have a capital base of $50,000 to $100,000 or plus, you won't need to do any seller financing or anything like that. You can just buy the house outright and not have to even worry about any contracts or anything like that as far as long-term payment plans and stuff like that. So, yeah, the realtor is a way to get a property listed. It really is a good way, as well as because there's so many houses that are vacant. I would say for every one house that's on the MLS or that's listed even for sale by owner, there's 10 properties that are vacant, that are not on the MLS. They're not that pretty much can be bought because uh, you just have to locate the owner or go through the process of acquiring the property through various means such as tax sales, such as just mainly tax sales. But you can just if you can locate the owner of a particular property somehow, which is very difficult to do, um, you can basically find a property that is vacant and actually have exclusive rights to it if you are able to contact that owner. And you could use driving for dollars. You can mail. the last owner on record. You can try to make phone calls. Um, you can also leave property signs such as "We buy houses," um, because basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to find a deal that you primarily are trying to do seller financing on. I mean, the reason why I could keep talking about seller financing and why I'm mentioning it and why I like it is because just like you wanted to buy that car, like say you wanted to buy a you wanted to buy a Dodge Charger or a Camaro. Well, you don't necessarily have the credit to get to get a decent car loan, and you don't have the cash to buy it outright. And what is the other any other way? And that way is to do owner. I mean, in the case of real estate, owner financing, but in the case of a car, buy here, pay here, where you put 500 down or 1,000 down, and then you know let's say the car is $6,000. You put down $1,000, you pay the rest of the payments off in 6 months. You pay, I think they ask you to pay like every week or some crazy shit like that, like or every 2 weeks you'll pay like $300 for that car until it's paid off. So like it probably be most likely a 6 month term, and then the car will be paid off, and you have a nice car. You know, a lot of people have done it, and they paid it off, and then they got a nice decent car that basically they really technically couldn't have really gotten unless they had this buy here pay here option, because they had the money to buy the car. I mean, as far as to pay the car off, they just didn't have the credit to actually get a bank loan to give them the money. So this is the same thing with seller financing, which basically you have the money to buy the house on terms. You just don't have all the capital right now. So that's one thing that is good about seller financing. Okay, and that is why I utilized it. Um, so the second part is negotiating the deal. Okay, once you find a property, you are at the point. I mean, ideally, when you find a property, you want to go through it and see if it's actually something that you want to put a deal on. You want to see if you actually make a profit off of it. So, got a question. Hi, man. Which stock do you think is good to have? Right now, as far as stocks, oh man, it's so up and down. It's hard for me to tell you like one stock that you should just ride it out with. It's because the stock market, because of this virus pandemic, and even before the virus, it's so cyclical. It goes up and then it goes down. I mean, so the thing that I found out recently, I think I found it out through a podcast, a guy by the name of Ian Dunlap. He recommended a stock that if the market goes down, it already trades in reverse to make a profit. And I use it a lot, and it's called UVXY. So a lot of times, if you watch that symbol UVXY, when the market goes down, that thing shoots up. So if I had to particularly, which I do, I buy it all the time when the stock market goes down, I buy it. Not all the time does that symbol UVXY go up as far as in value when the stock goes down, That's another variable with it, but it usually goes up when the market is crashing. Like for example, the market crashed terribly this week. A lot of losses. All I had to do was, and I didn't do it, but I bought it this week, but I didn't actually um, finish it. I didn't hold it the whole week, which I should have. So Monday I should have bought UVXY because it shot all the way up to $15 profit a share. Okay, so I didn't. I bought it, but then I sold it really quickly because I get emotional. One thing about like stocks, if you can just kind of like buy it and then just like don't even monitor it and just let it go through its motions for like maybe a week to see how it does. I think that's a good thing, but it's kind of hard to do. And then another thing is like you gotta put in a stop loss when you actually are trading, and it's another thing because it's like you only got so many. I think you commented again. Okay, I could see it, but you only got so many trades, so many day trades to do if you got a margin account. You can only do 3 day trades if you got the margin account. If you got a cash account, you could trade as much as you want. One of my brokerage accounts, I have a cash account, and the other one I have a margin account. So um, it's a lot of variables with it. A lot of times you and I was gonna do a video on it. You get stuck holding a rotten egg because you can't trade because if you trade, then they flag your account. So you get stuck holding a rotten egg. But he said, do you have a particular food stock that you purchase? Food. I the last couple months I've bought Blue Apron. Blue Apron is a meal delivery company, and they shot up because simply when this pandemic happened, all the grocery stores were pretty much unloaded with food. Not looting or anything like that. They bought it with their own money. Um, they bought all the food, so it don't even matter if you're rich. You go to the grocery store and there's no food because people bought all of it and hoarded it. So because people got emotional and panicked and bought all this food. So a couple months ago, Blue Apron shot up. I mean, it shot up to like $15. It went from like being $2 or $3 a share to like $15, $16 a share. It got higher, and I wrote it out, and I actually made quite a bit of money, but I lost all of it back. Well, yeah, I lost the gains that I made because, like I was saying, if you don't have the ability, like being 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 wealthy and rich has its benefits, or just even having money, cash, having money it has its benefits because yeah, you have to wait after before. I mean, yeah, like it's a waiting period. But what I'm trying to say is that if you, because of the PDT rule, the pattern day trading rule, if you don't have more than 25K in your account, you can't day trade truly. And $25,000 ain't that much. That's the average of what people have in their 401k, or it's actually probably even half of what people have in their 401k. But most people don't have 25K in no brokerage account. I mean, shit. They say most people don't even have $1,000 in their savings account for an emergency. So I definitely don't think they have 25K in their brokerage account to avoid the PDT rule, because basically if you like trade one day and you've already probably did 1 or 2 day trades, you don't have the ability to get out of a stock, to even implement a stop loss. So, like I said before, you get stuck. What I call it, get stuck holding a rotten egg, and you gotta like if you bought a stock and then it's dipping hard, you gotta eat it because you gotta hold it. Because if you trade a stock, they're gonna flag your account, and then you ain't gonna even eventually have the ability to use their platform. So it's like it's just kind of tricky, but it's just one of those things. It's called I would call it will classify as poor tax that you have to pay because you don't have the money to get past it, and but yeah, that to answer your question, that I mean I hope I pretty much answered that. I mean Blue Apron is pretty much the one of the stocks that I was watching. Um, Another thing I'm gonna tell you a stock that everybody missed out on damn near, including me, a big one. Wayfair, the company, the website that you buy like furniture and decor and stuff like that. Go look up Wayfair in the last like 3-4 months. They dropped all the way down to $24 a share. I haven't even looked at that symbol in the last time I saw was like a couple weeks ago. It was $24 a share. That was the time to buy that, to buy as much as you can. You should have been trying to sell your grandma furniture and everything, all your kids' toys, everything, and put it in that damn stock, and including probably even your car, and just walk and damn put it all in that damn particular stock, and you would have been paid in a matter of a couple of months because that thing shot up tremendously. That's one of the biggest ones that I've seen that just jumped up, but it's a few of them. But man, it's so volatile, man. I don't really want to give any advice on particular trades as far as stocks, but I like those ones I said. I know I can, those are the ones that I purchased, but I'm not a financial stock analysis, or I don't have any Series 7s or anything like that. So I mean, my advice is just from my own personal opinion. But I'm gonna continue along with what this video was talking about. But I appreciate the input. And, you're welcome to ask me any questions. But I'm gonna continue on. The step one. Oh, okay, cool. 184. That's great. That's man. Just think if you just bought 1,000 shares, which is like $24,000. Okay, I mean, you'll be set, man. I mean, for the whole year, because you'd have made probably more than you make at your job, or most people make at their job, and you'd have been good, man. You just had to have the money, but and then make sure it doesn't dip, and you've been straight. But yeah. So it's like the second part of this topic is basically you once you find a property, you already negotiate. I mean, you already know you can make a profit off of this property. It's a solid property. Second step is you're going to negotiate the deal with the owner. And part of that negotiation, if you want a lower price, you want to negotiate certain terms, such as obviously in this case you want to negotiate the term of seller financing, because most people are not even aware of that, or contract for deed. They're just not aware of that as an option to sell a property. Most people know of buying and selling property, either you're renting or you are renting to own. Some people know even about that. Some people probably don't even know about that. But then you also, the traditional FHA mortgage, or conventional mortgage, VA mortgage. That's all most people know about real estate. They don't know about no contract for deed. If you ask the average person on the street about contract for deed, they'll look at you like you're crazy. Like, what the hell are you talking about? So the second part is just negotiating the deal. In seller financing, you want to explain to them and educate them what that is, and try to get them to sell a property on terms. Because I mean, if it's a vacant house, they already have the house sitting. It's in their best interest to do something with it, and they probably most likely are willing to do so. So all you have to do is just kind of educate them if they don't know what contract for deed is, and just basically get some type of offer from them. And then once you got that offer, explain to them just in general what you're gonna do. So let's say if the property is like $54,000, explain to them like, you know what, I'm gonna put down a down payment. I'm gonna put down 10%. So I'm gonna give you $5,400 of that money. Or if you wanna counter offer their offer, but you gotta be very, very very, let's say, you gotta be very kind of temperamental about it, because you're dealing with something that is very foreign to people, and then they might be timid about it. So if it's a decent offer, don't be greedy. Just take the offer and go with it. Because if they back out on it, on what your counter offer is, they might be turned away by you. They might think they're already thinking you're probably getting over on them because you're offering anything foreign than a check in hand to purchase the house outright. So, and people tend to not trust people anyway in general if you're a stranger. So yeah, if the offer is right, you just basically go over in details what you're gonna offer to the seller, the terms. So if you offering 10% down, in this case, $54,000 house, you basically putting down $5,400. Then you have to negotiate. Are you going to pay the taxes on the property, or is the owner going to pay the taxes on the property, or is the owner going to pay the housing insurance? Because you're going to want to have housing insurance for a property in case there's fire damage, there's flood damage. All of this has to be negotiated, and it'll be in the contract. Now, after all of that is negotiated, you want to basically get the offer in writing and everything, and put have an attorney go over it with you and actually draw up a contract and get it notarized. I've never had Amazon stock, no, enter the loyalty justice 77 plus topic. Never had it. It was way out of my reach for the longest time. It's been high for a long time. Other than when I was in high school and stuff. Like, that was the time that I should have bought stocks, because Amazon was cheap. Google. So I was in high school in the mid '90s. So a lot of these stocks, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, was very cheap. Even a lot of stocks were very cheap. That I knew about stocks, but I didn't know how to buy them, and I definitely didn't have any money to buy them. So that was the big. Those two factors would stop that. But yeah, Amazon is it's way out of my reach, unfortunately. But yeah, so yeah, you want, once you negotiate that deal, you drop the contract with your attorney, and you forward that to the seller of the property. So typically, you could meet in person with the lawyer, or you can use forms filler online like DocuSign. In DocuSign can capture signatures where the seller doesn't have to meet the lawyer or you over over physical location, especially now because of this whole pandemic COVID-19 thing. Companies like DocuSign, Zoom, is just gone through the roof. To speak in technical terms, with uh, Enter the Loyalty Justice 77, like Zoom, it just shot off, and I'm sure DocuSign shot off as well. So I mean, it just basically just shot off, uh, because when COVID-19 happened, you may put everybody on quarantine or in the house. You anything that could be done in the house or in a remote location online through the cloud, through internet, it shot up because those things were needed. So yeah, that is what you will use to negotiate the deal. You need an attorney, and to draw up a contract with you, it will cost you. I have an attorney that can negotiate a deal with seller financing. I think she said she'll charge me like $600 to draw up a contract for seller finance. So yeah. So and the third thing is, I've already pretty much explained it. You're gonna Once you get that contract, you're gonna go through it with the seller, and then they'll sign everything, probably most likely through DocuSign. You might be able to meet the seller in a location with your attorney, or your attorney meets with the seller, and pretty much that's it. After that, the contract is the third step. So the fourth step is rehab. Okay, and once you pretty much once you looked at the rehab, you pretty much already, when you did the walkthrough from the first step, you've already pretty much done a pre-rehab walkthrough, so you already know what generally needs to be done. By the time you get the property, you already know. Into the loyalty justice, I have never bought any bonds. My grandmother bought a bond for me when I was born, but I've never bought any bonds. I know I met a dude that was very wealthy, that him and his friends bought bonds, mainly like municipal bonds for like cities and towns and stuff like that, government bonds. I mean, I don't really know that much about bonds. But yeah, part of the rehab process, the I'm gonna explain in the description. It's a link to a seasoned real estate investor that he has 6 steps that he used for rehab. I'll go over them generally, and I'm gonna follow those tenets too. First step is demolition. Um, if a house needs to, whatever doesn't need to be, that you don't want in the house, basically you take out. That's what demolition means. It could be a house that's got to be ripped down to the bare studs. That is basically demolition, and you typically need a dumpster for demolition. You might even need multiple dumpsters, depending on how much debris is in the house and how much things need to be taken out of the house. So that's demolition. And then the second step is actually the electrical and the plumbing. Because you want to prep for drywall installation, which is the third step of rehab. So you want to check the pipes, everything that's behind the walls. You're gonna check electrical, plumbing, and even also insulation, house insulation. So that is what you're gonna check. You're gonna bring someone over to give you an estimate on electrical repair, on to verify everything is good to go, the plumbing, and then after you do that, the third step will be Um, you want to put in drywall, get an estimate for drywall. And drywall typically costs anywhere between $500 to all the way up to 1,000 or more. It depends on the square feet of your house, how big your house is. And then after you get drywall, you want to paint. So estimates of paint. I mean, you could do it yourself. Um, if you're pretty decent at it, you could paint your own house. I really don't like painting. I'd rather pay somebody to paint. And painting typically costs about around 500 to 1,000, depending on how much drywall, how many walls you have and ceilings. So after the painting, then you want to put in any final little fixtures, such as any like um things you need, like fixtures for the electrical outlets. You want to hang a chandelier, lighting, things like that. Basically, you want to put in all of the fixtures. So after that, after you put the fixtures in, you want to and that's like I think that'll be like the fifth step or something like that. Put the fixtures in. Then the sixth step would be putting in flooring, and then fixing any doing final touch ups. So you want to do flooring, whether it be carpet, hardwood, stuff like that. And those generally are the steps to make a house where it's habitable, move-in ready, up to code. Of course, you're gonna need permits, things like that. So once you got the house rehab, you wanna, if you in this case, if you got seller financing, you got a house that's rehab. It's gold now. Now you have gold. So if you got a principal balance on the house, you got to figure out what you're gonna do with it. Are you just gonna stretch these payments out? Because let's go back to the house that's $54,000. You put down $5,400. Okay, so roughly you have $40,000 left that you have to pay, and you negotiated a 10-year payout. But you typically, that's what payment is. That's what the way I would do it. If I bought a house that cost me about $50,000, I would do 5 years, 10 years. No more than 10, no less than 5. And the 5 would be, like $600 a month, stuff like that. But that's not the point. I mean, if you got the contract, you can keep it as it is. You don't have to pay it off, because the next step will really resolve that issue for the most part. So the last option, the fifth option is plan for financing is in real estate in general, is resale. Resale or renting. Which one you gonna do? Basically, sorry about it. I have my car on, and the Bluetooth is going. We turn my car off on radio, because sometimes it just has a minus on. Okay, do you hear me better now? Do you hear me better now, or? Okay. So yeah, the last step. Okay, cool. The last step is step 5. And step 5 basically is the determination of what you're gonna do with this rehab property. Are you gonna resell it, or are you gonna rent it out? I mean, if you resell it, it answers the payoff question immediately, because now you could put this house on the market, and you can legally do so because of step 3. You have a contract for this house, for contract for deed. The deed pretty much is, you have rights to the deed because you have put down a down payment. You have probably made a few payments, if not a lot of payments, because it took you time to basically rehab the house. I live in Illinois, into Loyalty Justice 77. So in the Chicagoland area. So basically, if you resell it, because basically I'm sure you want to make sure that if you're offering offering $54,000, whatever you're offering for the house, that it's gonna be more than that after the repair value, as well as you are below the ARV minus the amount of work that's going to be done on the property. So like, say for example, that house is $54,000, and you kind of know in your head through the walkthrough that this house is a grade D house or grade B house. If you need to know more information about the grades of houses, check out my blog, brokegeniuses.com. I have in full detail of what I'm talking about in housing grades, basically the condition of the house, and how, if you know this house is like a grade D house, it's going to probably cost about $20,000 to fix up. So you already estimated that. So after you acquire the property and you go through the rehab, you found out it didn't even cost 20 grand, it cost about 15 grand to fix up. So now you add that to the price. So 54, 64, $69,000 is what you will have to pay for the property. And that is that's not the ARV. The ARV is the value of the house after you repair it. So you're in for 69,000, but from the houses in that area and being in that area, the houses go for that particular house goes for about 142. So you can go back. Let's say you kind of got the property from getting a real estate listing from a realtor, and you negotiated a seller financing contract with the owner that was just pretty much trying to sell the house traditionally. Now you can contact that agent that probably thinks that you're the shittiest person alive because you bypassed him to acquire this property through seller financing. Now is your moment of redemption, that you can contact your agent. Hey, Michelle, I got this property, that you gave me a long time ago, and through my email, through your real estate listings that you had on your MLS. Well, I didn't use the conventional way, and I know I cut you out of the profit for selling it because I use seller financing. But I want to sell the house because now I have a contract on it and I repaired it, and I want to put the house on the market. And Michelle usually will be like, yeah, I'll do it. And then she'll just basically do a walkthrough and, probably take a few pictures or whatever and do a formal listing for this house. Now your house is on the MLS, and you basically have a property on the MLS. Now it's listed for 140. She goes through the comps and she agrees with you, but she says, okay, maybe you should just go slightly less. Let's go for just 135. Abdul, let's just put it on there for 135. So you put it on for 135, and you basically, within the real estate agent is a kick-ass real estate agent. So she does a open house.
She has cookies, coffee, she has milk, she has donuts, napkins, plates, and everything. And people love the house. You did a good job on the rehab, and people love this house. She gets 4 offers that day for that open house. One of them is the asking price of the house, 135, full asking price. The other offers are slightly lower, one for 122, the others for like 118, another one for like 120. Well, you can accept that. You're gonna accept that offer for 135, and basically after a month of negotiation and getting approvals and everything and filling out paperwork, you now are at the title company to sell this house because you have an offer for 135. You only owe 169. Just $69,000 that you're out of. The seller is going to be, the seller of the house will be there. You'll be there, your attorney, and the buyer that's buying the property. And what you'll do is basically that deed that you made for a contract will be transported from your name and the seller to the buyer of this property that put the offer in for 135. And basically from some broke genius dude. You got the equivalent of 1% of people in America's salary just by watching some broke dude on YouTube and just following his steps. And that's just one house. Or if you rent it out because you see the comps in the area. That house could be rented out for $1,400 a month. So now you got $1,400 a month, and you just owe $40,000. You just owe $40,000. You got $1,400 a month, which is roughly, give or take, about $17,000 a year. And all you have to pay is $400 plus taxes, plus the taxes. You might not even have to pay the taxes, but ideally you probably will, because the contract is for 10 years. So your cut will be about $1,000, and you didn't have to do anything but just fix the house up. And you could do that every year. Or what you could do is just pay the house off sooner than 5 years, and now you got full rent that you collecting. So those are options for seller financing. 5 steps. You can take it or leave it. I hope this helps everyone that is buying just real estate in general. It is beneficial. I've used these steps. I'm in the process of using these steps again, and I hope it helps someone get rich, or just generally just improve their overall livelihood, I hope it just helps you even just buy a property yourself, just to move your grandma's basement or something like that, So yeah, without further ado, guys,